was a Freemason, my grandfather was. So I asked to join, and they were delighted, and I had to have an informal interview, got asked a few questions, and then the date was set for when I joined. I had my joining ceremony, and then the rest is history. And that was 20 years ago now, but I still remember it like it was yesterday.
My interest in Freemasonry was very much sparked at an early age. I remember seeing my father and grandfather going off to meetings and very much enjoying their Freemasonry. I became very much attracted to the history and mysticism surrounding Freemasonry. At the same time, I was very much heavily involved with scouting before going to university, and Freemasonry for me very much followed on from that.
So I joined Masonry for a few reasons. The main one being to extend my circle of friends. Secondly, because I had an inquisitive mind, I wanted to know a bit more about the history of Freemasonry. I was asked to join by a good friend of mine, my next door neighbour, and at the time he asked me to put a letter into the lodge that I was interested in joining, and what I could offer the lodge as a man, and the things that I could to bring. So once that was approved, that letter, I went in for a short interview, met some of the guys, and I was happily approved, which is great.
When I joined Freemasonry, I thought I was just joining a single lodge, but actually I've joined a much larger community. I've made very good lifelong friends from a number of different lodges. We now have a young Masons club called the Essex Cornerstone Club, which provides an opportunity for like-minded individuals to come together and take part in social and charitable activities throughout the year.
So in Freemasonry we sometimes have to stand up and do some talking, and the good thing about that is that I can take that back to my work environment as a transferable skill. So being able to have that confidence and stand up and talk to people almost with authority gives me a good standing at work.
First of all, it's enabled me to meet people from various backgrounds that I don't think I would have had the opportunity of meeting before. I travel for work quite a lot, so whether that's local or international, I've got a great connection across the world. I think secondly, it's given me great life skills. In our lodge meetings, we stand up and we present and we talk, and that's great. And we do the same at work, so it gives me confidence at work. And then I think the other thing is coming to our meetings is a good space away from the busyness of life and work in general.
My initiation was actually very exciting. Although initially it appeared quite daunting, the actual ceremony itself was very personal and comforting, and something that I will remember and treasure forever.
I was in a room with lots of people that I knew, lots of people that I didn't know. It was a warm, friendly environment. It was a fantastic story, it really was, which continues throughout your Masonic journey. And then after the meeting, we had a lovely meal and a few drinks, and I think that's what it's all about.
My initiation ceremony is quite special, and it's special to every Freemason that joins. What I was blown away by was the amount of work that went in for that ceremony by lots of people that I'd never met before, and people that came up to you afterwards. You almost feel like a superstar afterwards, because everyone is there for you and for your initiation, and you'll automatically have these great friends around you.
They're one of the most secretive organisations in the world.
There are certain secrets that you have to earn.
Famous for unexplained rituals.
Where were you first prepared to be a Freemason?
In my heart.
Describe the mode of your preparation.
My right arms, left breast, and knee made bare.
There has been this notion that we somehow use goats in our rituals because we're somehow satanic.
And they face regular accusations of corruption.
There are people who are genuinely afraid to declare that they are Freemasons.
They're no more corrupt than anybody else.
Whenever anything bad happens, there are a whole horde of people who are digging to see whether Freemasonry was involved.
All the men in my family are Freemasons. I'm the only girl to go into Masonry. If a man can do it, so can I.
For the first time, we've been given access inside this highly secretive society to find out the truth behind the intrigue.
The ancient Egyptians understood that they could use sound to reduce their weight and the gravitational.
We have nothing to hide that's sinister. We're not trying to take over the world, despite all these conspiracy theorists.
The Freemasons are a secretive society that practice rituals in a temple and promote brotherly love. Although they have always been associated with men, we've gained access to the two female Freemason groups in the UK, the Order of Women Freemasons and the Honourable Fraternity of Ancient Freemasons.
This looks like any other leafy street in central London, but this is the international headquarters of one of the most secretive and mysterious organisations in the world, and for the first time they're exclusively opening the doors to us.
This is the Order of Women Freemasons. There's a meeting today for the quarterly communication of Grand Lodge, where only members of a certain rank can attend.
The Most Worshipful the Grand Master, Christine Chapman.
And this is the second group we've been given access to, the Honourable Fraternity of Ancient Freemasons.
Right, Worshipful Assistant Grand Master, whom do you represent?
Hiram, Prince of Architects, Most Worshipful the Grand Master.
And your duty?
To lay plans, draw designs, and assist the Most Worshipful the Grand Master in the execution of her work.
Christine Chapman, a former bookkeeper, is hoping to be re-elected for the top job of Grand Master for another 4 years.
The Grand Master has to lead and guide the fraternity, and she has to provide direction. She is the person with whom the buck stops. If there's any problems, she takes ultimate responsibility for everything. And she is the head of the fraternity.
The female Freemasons were formed in 1908. Their male counterparts have been meeting for at least 300 years. Their practices involve secret handshakes, rolling up their trouser legs, wearing blindfolds, and even nooses around their necks. They are currently headed up by the Queen's cousin, the Duke of Kent. But Freemasons have been accused of favouritism, helping each other rise up the career ladder and covering up each other's mistakes.
The Home Affairs Committee have already called for greater openness.
In 1997, there were calls from former Home Secretary Jack Straw for officers and judges to make voluntary disclosures about their membership. By 2009, he scrapped the rule after the Masons threatened to take the government to court.
There are people who are genuinely afraid to declare that they are Freemasons because of the public perception that somehow means that they're a corrupt individual or that they're somebody who is a little bit dodgy. And that's categorically not the case. I would say quite the opposite is true.
Over the years, there's